Well, good morning and welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. That noise, I'm sorry, I just hit my coffee cup on the table like that. How unprofessional of me. Welcome to you all. Good to have you here. Before we get into the context of today, which is the war is here. It's here already. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all of my readers. I just checked the figures, and I think my latest book that just came out, this is the hardcover. It's out in it's out in Kindle and paperback and hardback on Amazon. The links are down below. I think that this may have set a new record, a new sales record worldwide for my books. I'd have to check, but I think that's right. So thank you all. I'm glad I've already had reviews back. Everybody's enjoying it. Thank you all for letting me know. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Kelly told me that she thought this was the best book yet of mine, and I don't know. You know, I love them all because I wrote them all, and I say different things in all of them. For those of you who may not know what I'm talking about, I'll just kind of bring you into the loop here for a moment before we get to talking about the war. And this is the latest volume of the Stonemont series, our sponsor. No matter what YouTube puts on as ads, all of these are sponsored by the Stonemont series, my series of books about how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse. EMP, CME, you have to read this through the second book to find out exactly what. But these are the Stonemont, the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven. That sunlight's coming in through the window and reflecting off this. The blessings of freedom, and now finally the most recent one, hostages to fortune. And I'm busily writing on number 7 right now. I haven't decided on a title, but they're all now. And somebody asked, are the others available in hardback? No, they're not. The Hostages to Fortune is the first one that I've had put out in hardback. Now I will go back. I don't know how long it will take because I'm writing 3 books right now. A lot of people don't realize that. I'm writing the 7th book of the Stonemont series, and then I'm writing 2 other books that I may or may not mention here because they don't really have anything to do with, they're in totally different genres. They don't have much to do with preparedness. But all of these, when I get time, I will go back and put all of these, because they have to be reset. I will put all of them in hardback and make those available. And then, yes, there was something that, it was a project that I started some time ago, and I just got too busy, of putting the first 5 books together in one large volume, a hardback, and that's still in the works. These things just take time, and I am busy. So that's where we are on that. Thank you all so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you aren't a Stonemonter yet, which is what we call people who have read all the books, or at least started, reading one, and then started. The links are down below, either how to get them from Amazon, and like I say, they're available in Kindle, paperback, or hardback in Amazon, this last one, or from me. Of course, I can't give you Kindle, but you can get those from me, and all the information is down in the description box and in a pinned comment if I remember to do that, and I usually do. So thank you all. I'm glad you're enjoying the books. And by the way, I just got an invite from Lee over at Cold War Prepper. If you don't watch Lee at Cold War Prepper, you should. He has done a review of all of my books. He is a great guy, retired military intelligence. Really one of the good ones out there that I recommend their channels. And he has just given me an invite. He wants to kind of introduce and review the hostages to fortune, I believe, on the 20th of this month, and has asked me if I would come on and be on the show with him. And I'm very much, I've never done that before. I've never wanted to do that, but I'm going to make an exception for Lee because I really like him, and I like his audience, and so I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll do very well. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to go on there and relax and let Lee talk and ask me questions, and his viewers, and we'll see how it goes. So I believe that is March 20th. I'll be back from another vacation by then, and I'll keep you up to date on that. Okay, now, when I got done with yesterday's video, and then I started reading some of the comments, and this was about war with Mexico. I realized after I got off that there were a couple of things that I hadn't said that I meant to say. That's always the way, right, with videos. But the comments, and I had some great comments, and thank you all for contributing there, it made me also understand that I needed to get a little bit deeper into this. Now, when I'm talking about war with Mexico, I'm not talking about with the people of Mexico, and I hope I made it very clear. I love pretty much every person that I've ever met from Mexico. I just, they are jam up. Now, I'm not talking about the cartels. I'm talking about people, like we talk about the American people. Well, when we talk about the Mexican people, I have known a great many, and I can't think of any that I haven't liked. They are hardworking. They are family-oriented. They are God-fearing. They're really the ones that I have known are hardworking. I mean, gee, they are everything that we talk about being American ideals. Okay. And so when we talk about this, you know, when we talk about war with other countries, we're not really talking about war with the people of those countries. Most of the people in those countries, they don't want war. They don't want to fight. We don't want war. We don't want to fight. Every war that we've been involved in, the average American citizen didn't want to be a part of, and the government had to do all sorts of things to get the backing of the people and get us involved in those stinking things, right? That's right. But there's a couple of things that I want to say about and about this war. First off, do you remember the line that Mel Gibson's character said in The Patriot when he said, "Oh, Gary, this war won't be like other wars, that this war will be fought amongst us," or something to that effect, among our homes? That's what this war is being fought. And I say is because the war by Mexico, I don't know whether I should say with Mexico or through Mexico or you know, whatever, because it's being supported by our own government. Make no mistake, and most of you understand that entirely. It's already going on, and it's been going on since, well, you know, I'm sure that anybody can make a case that it's been going on since, you know, pre-Alamo days. But I mentioned the Reconquista and Aztlan and all that. But what we have seen is an increase in the use of drugs and human trafficking since the 70s. Okay, when I say it'll be fought among our homes, it's already here. It has been. Okay, the way that our government has used Mexico, the way that China is now using Mexico, the way that elements of the Mexican government and cartels is using Mexico to funnel people through our southern border, many of those from China, many of those from the Middle East. You know, the kinds of people that we have seen come across that border, these are enemy combatants. Now, when you have enemy combatants in your midst, don't tell me that you don't have a war going on. You do. We may not have a war of battle lines, and it will never get to that point, but we have had a guerrilla war for a long time. A lot of this is being carried out with simple, what people seem to think is simple street crime. Okay, killings, drugs, executions, home invasions, all of these things. Make no mistake, this is war. It may not be a declared war between two governments, but it's an accepted war among governments. China knows what it's doing. It's shipping its fentanyl through Mexico into the United States. Mexico knows what it's doing, and again, by that I say government elements within Mexico. They know what they're doing when they help to funnel this through, when they allow it, when they support it, when they protect it across our southern border into the United States. Those elements in the Mexican government know what they're doing when they allow these trains of immigrants to come up from Guatemala and Salvador and Nicaragua and all this and coming up through our southern border. It is an invasion. It's a soft invasion. It's an invasion that our government is allowing. It's an invasion that our government is aiding and abetting. And in that case, they have violated their oath to protect and preserve the Constitution of the United States, and to me, that's treason. Okay. We are, as people here, as Americans, from whatever background we come from, whether we come from a European background, an African background, a Hispanic background, it doesn't matter. And, many people are surprised to know that that Hispanic or Mexican Americans, Latino Americans, I'm not sure what the difference. I know that some people prefer one of those terms over another. I have no idea what it is. I don't mean any disrespect, but I don't care enough to really look into it. It is what it is. Some of the staunchest supporters for border security are Hispanic Americans. Okay? They know. These are good, upstanding people. They are hard workers. They came for the American dream just like my ancestors did, just like, any of you who are not Hispanic, your ancestors did. They come here for a better life, and they've built it, and they've supported their families. And they have added to the fabric of America. They don't want this coming across our southern border, but it is, and it's here. And here's what a lot of people don't realize: that if you want to really see what the problem is, look at the cartels, look at the Mexican government's support of the cartels, and you'll say, "Oh yeah, they're fighting against the cartels." Well, it's kind of like our government fighting against crime. Yeah, we'll do it for the news, but we're going to make sure it keeps on going on, because that's how we keep the people, giving us bigger tax budgets, and it's why the people need us. If there weren't any crime, the people would go, well, we don't need all these government programs. Well, it's the same thing, and our own government needs to allow these cartels to come in order to kind of show the need for their law enforcement efforts, shall I say, right? Here's the thing that most people don't realize. There is cartel in almost every American city, large and small, and in some of the small towns. Now, do I mean that there's necessarily a cartel presence, that there are actually members of cartels in those cities? Well, in the big cities, yes. In the medium cities, yes. In the smaller cities, in the larger towns, not necessarily. But even where there's not a cartel presence, there's cartel influence. And it is through the communities into which these drugs are flowing. They're killing us Americans. They're killing people up here, and you know, whether it's an American or somebody else, they're killing somebody. A human being is a human being, and people are dying as a result of the influx of fentanyl. You know, I remember I was just going undercover when Carter's boat lift allowed all the people in from Cuba. And that was the first influx of Central or South American or Hispanic, whatever, organized crime into the United States. It had been here in small areas, you know, the LA barrio and the prison gangs, but it was not widespread. And a guy, a friend of mine actually, who I took his place in one of the drug units up here, he went down to Florida and he ended up being number 2 in the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, working drugs out of Miami. And he would tell me, he'd call on the phone, and I'd be out making a buy of a quarter ounce or something like that. And he would be out making a buy of a ton of cocaine. Maybe not a ton. Yeah, there were actually, but I mean hundreds of pounds of cocaine. And so we saw that it was unlike anything we'd ever seen as far as a concerted effort that was, while not directly supported or run by our own government, which to be honest, previous programs had been, but was certainly allowed. And that's when we saw, it was shortly after that we started seeing, as the Cubans came in, they were a different kind of animal than we had ever seen here. And then we started seeing the Colombians. And when the Colombians started making a major play into the United States, displacing a lot of the established organized crime, we saw an evolution that we had never seen before. As the Colombia, as the Medellin cartels started losing some, well, as Escobar went down and different things, and I have my theories on why that might have been. Maybe I won't get into it now, but if you ever watch some stuff on Escobar, I think you'll find it very interesting. Pablo Escobar. I think there's a program out there, Killing Pablo or something. I don't remember if that was a good one. I've watched a few of them. One was good. The others weren't so good. I don't remember if that was a good one or not. But then when we started seeing the Mexican organizations develop, and Mexico had kind of been the source when we got out of Vietnam. It interrupted the flow of China white heroin into our country, and there was such a demand for it that a Mexican brown, which was really low-grade heroin, started coming up from Mexico. And Mexican weed, we called it ditch weed. It was very low quality, but over the years, the Mexican organizations, the cartels, really grew in power, economic power, political power, and political power always comes from economic power, and military power. If you've looked into the Zetas, follow them. Maybe I'll put up a couple of things over on the Patreon channel for those who want to see a little bit about the cartels. And realize when you watch this stuff, I mean, it'd take me forever, and I don't claim to be an expert on the cartels, as I know a lot more about other elements of organized crime, but I know enough. And it would take me forever to really get into detail about these things. So I'll probably post some videos from other people and things over on Patreon that will give you a good look if you're interested, and you should be, because this is the fight that's going on now here at home, and this is the fight that's going to continue. And I'll talk in a minute about what you need to do about it. If you want a glimpse into, I'm not a big movie guy because most of them are so outlandish and so far-fetched that I just can't stand watching them. However, there are a few movies out there that touch on, that will give you a sense of the reality of of the kind of people we're dealing with in this war. That one Scarface with Pacino. Pacino, I think, but it gave a hint into the difference into the Cubans as they came in. It really did, and the difference was as well the old time Italian mafia and the Irish groups, they tried to keep a low profile. There was nothing that with the Cubans. They hated government so much. They had lived under oppressive government so much. When they came up here and sent pretty much a free hand among soft people, to be honest, man, they went at it, and they were not secretive about it at all. And you would have thought they would have got a lot of them caught and thrown away. It got some of them, but it produced their power base. So Scarface is something to watch just to kind of get an idea of don't watch it for educational purposes, except this is kind of the mindset that we're dealing with amongst many of these. You look at it with all the running gun battles and all the fights. The outright war that's occurring in Mexico right now between the cartels and the government, and sometimes that line between the cartels and the government is very, very foggy. Okay, another one, Sicario, is a good one. The first one, is it all true? Is it all right? No, it's not exactly, but no movie is. Just it'll give you a sense. The first one's better than the second one. It just kind of gives you an overview. It seemed like there was another one that I was going to recommend. Let me put you on pause for just a second, and I'll see if I remember it without you watching me think. Okay, I can't think of it, but I'll tell you one thing did pop up. There was that series Narcos. I don't know if it was a Netflix or whatever. I tried to watch it simply because that's my background. I was undercover narcotics for a long time, and I couldn't stomach it. It was the stupidest. They say it was based on true stories and realities and things like that. It didn't begin to give you an understanding of the situation. Didn't begin to at all. One of the stupidest ones out there is that last Rambo movie, Jiminy Christmas. Anyway, the war is here. The weapons that are being used against us are drugs. We've said this since the 70s, that as long as there is an appetite for drugs in the United States, the supply will be there. It's responsible for financing, along with recently avocados. So, for everybody who loves their guacamole, you're supporting the cartels. But the drugs is what? It's not only killing people, our children, but it's financing the war against us. Now, the war, the political side, the economic side, is just going to continue to crush our country. And by this, I mean the United States. I know there are many of you out there watching from Canada, and it's already happening in your country, and Australia and New Zealand and Europe, and the extent to which it's happening in your countries, I don't know, but it will if it's not already. I know the European countries have their own problems, and have had for many years. But this is the problem. It's crushing us. It's going to continue to kill us. And then it is going to allow those people who want our destruction to increase their political influence through the money they make by our use of their drugs. That's what it's about. The way to win this war is for Americans to stop using drugs. But it's been that way since the 60s. They found, this is how the British collapsed China, right? Are you all familiar with the Boxer Rebellion? Well, pretty much wherever, well, I won't say wherever, but drugs have been used to crush and collapse countries for a long time, and is being used against us right now. So, all we can do, strong families, make sure that your family is strong against this. Make sure that your group is tight and understands, because I don't think a lot of people really understand the dangers that are being posed right now with the border situation and the cartels that are already here in our country. You better be able to defend yourself, because this stuff can erupt anywhere at any time, and you can be caught in the crossfire. Now, that's for now. In the future, just as they have taken over entire towns in Mexico, we can't say that won't happen here. And I don't know. You all down there in the Southwest, let me know what it's like in your areas. I know I got several responses from people down in South Texas and along the New Mexico and Arizona and California borders. Tell me how it is. Are there any towns down there that you feel are pretty much cartel towns? I write a little bit about. Matter of fact, I have started touching on the cartel and Aztlan and the Reconquista a couple of books ago, and I continue writing about it. But that's after a collapse, and this is now. So increase your preparedness, increase your ability to defend yourself physically. And in this case, it's going to be with weapons. Okay, the day could come to where we're going to see bodies hanging from bridges in the United States. That's common down in Mexico. The day could come when we will find headless bodies lying by the side of the road, because our government is not stopping it. And the people who work with Border Patrol or, Customs and Border Protection, they want to do their jobs, but they're not being allowed to. And then our demand for drugs up here is creating the demand that the supply will satisfy. Through the back of the years, in past years, it's been weed, cocaine. Now it's meth, fentanyl. And when a group or a group of groups is doing something to kill thousands of your citizens, tell me that's not war, and tell me it's not here among our homes. It's among our homes like this, in crime and drugs. The war itself could be among our homes sometime down the road. Prepare yourself. Let me know how it's going in your area. Let me know what you think about this. I'll probably put more stuff up over on Patreon. If you're not with us on Patreon, the link is down below. You should be, if you're really interested in preparedness and not just a prepper tourist. You need to be with us over on Patreon, and the link is down below. Again, thank you so much. I'll remind you that thank you so much for making Hostages to Fortune possibly the fastest selling of any of my books so far. It's taken off like a freight train, and I love it, and it's selling all over the world. And to remind you that all of my books are available, and my books are the real sponsor of this, because this is what I do for a living. They are the sponsor of all of my videos here, and you'll find them. There again is the reversion, the revival, the renewal, an appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and finally this guy, Hostages to Fortune. They're available through Amazon. The links are down below, or from me, and that link is also down below. You guys have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. This is a danger, guys. This is one of the biggest dangers to our country and to us personally that very few people are talking about or understanding anything about. Educate yourself, learn about it so that you can prepare for it. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.